order. Our first item on our agenda is we're super excited to have Mabel and Abigail here. They are the recipients of our scholarships. So I just want to say a couple of little things. So I'm a librarian, first of all. But as I was reading through your applications, like both of you kind of drew parallels. Abigail, you were talking about how your grandfather took you to the library when you were a kid, and Mabel, you talked about how your grandmother would take you to story time. So when you see these like intergenerational connections that you make through libraries, I just find that so fascinating because it's a way to kind of build relationships with relatives, family. You continue with your cousin, right? So, and then you kind of continue to use the library as a way to kind of further your knowledge and for ways you want to pursue your careers, right? So looking at mechanical engineering and astronomy and going to the library and reading the physics books, right? And then going to Bonnie Tech and working on your vet degree and going back to when you were reading to dogs too, right? Maybe as sort of a little bit of an inspiration. And now you're going to University of Connecticut, and I'm not sure.
Union College.
Union College. And so I just really hope that when you hit your college and your university, that you kind of continue those strong, healthy patterns of using the library that you seem to have established already. Go to the library like the first week of school, like find your spot, right? And make that spot like your own, right? So you got a break after class on like Wednesdays from like 2 to 3, like go to the library, crank out some work, right? And just make that like 2 to 3 Wednesdays. I'm gonna be at the library other times throughout the week as well. So I'm so excited for all of you, both of you. Biggest heartfelt congratulations. And we are super excited to be able to give you checks for $500 to kind of help with your tuition, because we all know that college is expensive, right? And so hopefully it's small, but hopefully this will help you with some of your books or your expenses and so forth. Congratulations, we're so excited for you and are really looking forward to seeing what you do next and how you go forth into the future. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything else you want to add?
Just a big congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck in school.
Thank you.
I second Connie's emphasis on find the library when you're at college and, you know.
She's a librarian.
I'm a librarian.
Just so you know.
But, you know, I think a lot of times people think, I don't need that, but it's always a nice place to go. And you can get help there.
You guys are welcome to stay and hang out if you want to see what the trustees are doing, but if you want to get out and enjoy this evening, that's also fine as well. So,
And spread the word.
Wait, maybe I want to get a picture outside.
So,
For a library.
right here, this is for you guys. Okay, thank you so much.
She's on the ball with that.
Should we do-
I haven't pre-written mine.
Congratulations,
Connie. Thank you.
Before you go, can we just get a picture?
Sure. We can do
I can do that. Let me use my
I'll
camera.
take the
We put
picture.
that on
No,
our-
if I take the picture,
on
then I
our
can get it
webpage.
onto the.
But you're the library director.
But you're the trustee.
Do a big old selfie. So.
No.
Yeah. My arm is not nearly long enough, and I just can't lift up my arm that much anymore, so forget that. All right, trustees.
All right.
So Tom, that was your idea, or no?
Huh?
You just
Yeah,
wanted
come on
to do
over.
that?
You
Come on, Tom.
You've all told
I
us.
think we need a better background.
I know, maybe
But
we're
you
A lot of wires.
We can stand in front of this right here.
Yeah, good idea.
Oh,
Is that too awkward?
just to make it different than the country hen picture that you
You're
guys
right,
got there,
you're right.
you know?
Oh, did you guys get the country hen ones too? Maybe they can.
I know Abigail would
Okay.
have it.
You guys get the front.
How are you, Tom?
Should we
Super.
sit? Yeah, you guys can sit.
Oh,
That'd
so
be kind of-
that's my husband, nobody wants to see my husband. Alright, let me just get that chair out of there.
You want me to move it?
No, it's good.
Oh,
No, don't
okay.
move it, it's out of my picture. You just put it into my picture. I'm good.
That came up cute. All right, smile. Thank you.
I gotta say, I was a little concerned because I saw you guys were up at your camp and I'm
Yep.
thinking, oh, is she gonna be back in time?
Yeah, that was
Oh,
just for the weekend.
Cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now you got two in college.
No, it'll be quiet. Well, my mother would. Won't be that quiet. Still have Sue. But yep,
Good.
It's gonna be strange. You know how it is.
I do, but
Strange.
empty nesting, 2 thumbs up.
Good shit, I haven't been to South Beach, South Beach.
See you later, Kristen.
I haven't either. I'm trying to get up to Gloucester.
I'm going to Cape tomorrow, though.
Hate to throw.
All right, I will post it on Facebook. Probably Saturday.
Yes.
That's fine.
Okay.
Saturday morning,
If,
yeah.
at the latest Monday. And I'm shopping tomorrow, so.
Fine.
Where do you go down
Well, this time we're going to Truro.
there? Oh,
Just FYI, we're
Back
on-
to business.
Yeah, the video, we're
I'm
on the
sorry.
video, just FYI.
Everybody's gonna know where you are now.
Yeah. We're gonna come find you on the Cape.
Okay.
All right, they were delightful young adults, so.
Very nice. Actually, I knew both of them for when Mabel was that high and Abby, the same thing. It's very cool.
Yeah.
engineering and astronomy seems like a bit of a challenge. It's good.
Yeah, so animal science, the other one, so.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
biology and
So,
Yep, so,
organic chemistry.
yes.
Makes you wanna start all over?
Not really.
If I knew now what I knew, if I knew then what I knew now, my college is going to be very different. So, anyway, moving on to the library director's report. Chris, you're up.
all right. Director's report for August 3rd, 2023. We had 0 curbside pickups, 375 patrons, 0 students because it's summer. Storytime attendees, we had 43 adults, 82 children, for a total number of attendees is 125. We had 9 storytime events in July. We had 2 volunteers with a total of 5 visits and 14 hours for the month, and we issued 7 new cards. For Facebook, our page reach in July was 2,225. Total page likes, 831. Page followers is 920. Facebook page and profile visits for July was 436. Instagram page reach for July was 50. Our followers is 115. And our profile visits in July were 8. Our most popular Facebook posts was the Hubbardston Public Library info about the library, which with 1,194. And the second most popular was Ahoy this week at Storytime with 985. We had 68 Wi-Fi connections, and I finally got through, we now can do website visits. We had 448 for July. That's a new number, and I'll be doing that one monthly. For our library numbers through CW Mars, Hubbardston items circulated regardless of location, 980. All items circulated at Hubbardston regardless of ownership, 928. We had 272 requested holds. We had total number of patrons registered at Hubbardston was 1,456. Total number of items, 12,126. And overdrive monthly checkouts for July was 546. The library was closed Tuesday, July 4th for Independence Day, and Wednesday, July 19th, due to no water. The Senior Book Club met on July 26th and discussed Where Are the Children by Mary Higgins Clark. There were 4 in attendance. July's selection is Where Are the Children Now by Mary Higgins Clark. The club will meet on Wednesday, August 23rd at 11 a.m. at the Senior Center. The display for July was Go Outside in both the adult and children's reading room. August's display will be Back to School. The bee program with Mary Vardaresian of Be Kind Farms and Donna Farrell was held on Monday, July 17th at 6 p.m. and we had 13 in attendance. Respectfully submitted by Christine Barbera. I would like to point out that the numbers that are on the financial report are estimates. I have not yet received a FY24 report from the accountant yet. I will be asking her on Monday to send me a copy for that. And in addition, under the trusts, the numbers that are in red are the total amounts that I have thus far as what went on in those trusts in the last fiscal year. So, we're gonna start with the new numbers, which are in black, but that's how we got to those numbers.
So most of those expenses then are probably just expenses associated with the maintenance of the trust,
It could have been a loss,
or a loss too. Okay.
because, if I recall correctly, at the beginning, like first quarter, or first quarter of the fiscal year, we had a definite drop, and there was a definite loss of income at the time.
Cause they're invested, right?
They are, but I don't know the details of how they are.
Just for notes for the agenda, I put the wrong library directors
Yeah, I
in
just-
there, so
I
it just
just
needs to
noticed
be,
as I
it
printed
needs
it.
to be, yeah, sorry about that, I did a search and I probably just grabbed the July one as opposed to the August one.
Would you like to?
I have it up,
Okay.
so I can just make the
I was very
correction.
diligent in reading it.
Yeah, I just.
I know, I was too, and I was like, I don't see
Wait,
this.
what?
So that was my mistake, apologies for that. I guess another question, maybe this is what you were addressing when you say you haven't received an updated FY '24.
Yes.
I've noticed that the library first floor rehab has not had any money come out of it, and we sent $2,000 over to CPC for that electrical work we had done.
Oh,
So I would have
okay.
expected to see that come out.
You know what, since I have no FY '24
Mhm.
numbers, I didn't even look at those
Okay.
accounts, so
Okay.
I will check on that
Yeah,
to see.
and the 2,500 for the long range plan is still on there, and Sandra
Oh,
told me
you're
that,
right, that's
Sandra
supposed
told
to
me that
be
was
covered.
coming off.
I'm sorry. I will,
So I don't know
correct that.
for sure. If that, I'm not sure if it just hasn't been reflected in the reports, or if it's,
once I get a report and I
Yeah.
can get updated numbers, I'll update it and I'll get it out to you.
okay, cool, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
The last column is not labeled, and I'm just wondering if we could label it or
Oh,
explain.
the,
Cause I couldn't tell if it was, I think it's how much is spent so far this year,
the
but then it's
percentages?
really last year or something?
What, you mean this last one right over here?
Yeah,
Those are, so what that is that, that tells you that we have expended an estimated 8% of personnel, 89% of employee support, 19% of services, and 4% of supplies. And that number will go up throughout the year as my expenses increase. So that's what that is.
What was the employee support?
Those are memberships for ALA and ARSL.
Okay.
so this is for the current year?
Yes,
So already this year cause you had to renew or something, you
yes,
spent
I,
okay,
those two are like
right away
right
at
at
the
the
top.
top,
yep,
right at the
yep.
beginning.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you front load that, and then it,
Yep.
okay,
So it's percentage
Percent
spent.
spent year to date.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I will fix that.
Any other questions about the director's report?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to, I can listen to the video later, but you said the red is the deficit and you're,
No. No, if you look at the
I'm just wondering if we're not sure if it has to do with fees or if it has to do with,
so this is what happened we started at the beginning of FY '23 with this number.
okay,
We earned income of that amount, but we lost that amount, which gave us, I'm sorry, the other way around. We lost that amount, we gained that amount for a new total of 5,000. So for each one, this is the
so
plus,
this is a plus and
and
that's
that's
a minus, okay, thank you.
But that's what happened over the year.
Okay, but they're both in red, so that's, I think
And
that's
the
why
only
was
reason I put
confused.
everything in
Yeah.
red is so that you wouldn't get my bad.
Okay.
You wouldn't get confused for the numbers that are gonna be for FY '24.
Okay, so the second column is minus and the third column is plus.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions about the director's report?
I'm here. Nothing? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the July 2023 minutes? Which are the correct minutes?
I did, and I had a suggestion on the minutes actually. Because it states with regards to chair election, but we had multiple elections, so maybe we should just change the header to reflect elections. So secretary. But otherwise, as usual, the minutes were clear and a very good summary of the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we change it?
Yeah,
To
make a motion to.
Election of library
change-
trustee positions or something?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know, do we need a motion for that? Oh,
If so, I make a motion to change the header of that subject.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Thing?
Perfect. The beautiful minutes.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for July of 2023 with the revision.
I'll second. All in favor? All opposed? Abstaining? 6-0-0. All right, Chris, you're up next to talk about the ARIS report that
Okay.
you submitted.
We
And
did.
to kind of give us an overview of it and kind of what it looks like and.
Okay, so I started the ARIS report and I completed it, submitting it to the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. The ARIS report is one of the 8 requirements that are needed for state certification. And they are looking for what is the town, what are you guys paying me and the other employees? How many items do we have? How often are we open? Based on our population, we only need to be open 15 hours, but we're open 24, so we're well past that amount. But they just wanna make sure that we are buying new things, that we are maintaining a collection, that we are paying our people. They just asked for a bunch of numbers, and then I think sometime in spring, they publish all those numbers, so you know what each library in each town that submits this ARIS report has as far as information. So if you have any questions about the data that I put in, I am here and I will try to answer them.
Put a link to the ARIS report in the agenda. Did anyone have any questions about it?
Not specifically about that, but you said it's one of 8 requirements. What are the other 7 requirements for certification?
I did send that to you in an
Is that-
email. And let's see if I can remember it off the top of my head.
I think you
because-
have
that
that
was
the
the-
next agenda item.
Okay.
Oh,
Is it the review
Maybe
of library
that's that.
certification?
So it's these 8 bullet points then? That would make sense.
I did have a question.
yes.
So when I was looking at the report, it said position salaries and staff education levels.
Yes.
And it said, the first column is the current year, and the
Yep.
second column is the previous year?
Yep.
And the previous year was higher, at 2717, and for minimum hourly wage for position salaries and staff education. So current year says 2638, and the previous year said $27.17.
Okay, look at that.
Yep. So I'm just looking at like right here and here. So minimum hourly, 2717.
Oh, okay, so I had done it incorrectly last year. If you can see, it's minimum and maximum. So last year I just did what I made because what I should have done was use the chart that the town has. So at the starting salary for step 1 is $26.38, but the very last step is $34.13.
Oh,
That's why.
okay, and then,
Yep.
and then it's, okay.
So that was my error, and I fixed it so that it would reflect correctly
Okay,
this
no,
year.
I was reading the table wrong, so, okay, thank you.
So it doesn't show exactly what you make, it shows the range of
That's
what you
right.
could.
Any questions about the ARIS report?
I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at it, but it just shows like how much Chris does, because like, obviously some towns have multiple libraries and it's like a much bigger scale, but there's all these hats that people have to wear, you know, like technical services, you know, processing the books, you know, doing the programming, all, you know, collection management, circulation, all of these things are different functions in a library, and, you know, so Chris does all of that, so, you know, it's really, I think, quite impressive that you can accomplish, you know, these 10 pages of things that are, you know, that are part of what makes a library work, so.
Well,
thank
I'd
you.
also like to do a shout out, Ann has been a great help, and Tricia has an unbelievable amount of creativity and just does a fantastic job at the story times that she offers, so it's impressive.
I'm very happy with my children's age, however, that main story time, and I was like, man, I wish I had those. But yeah.
Very popular, a lot of lobster petting.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I think, I don't know if it's ever been done of bringing a live animal to story time.
Not to my
I
knowledge.
thought that was phenomenal.
Yep.
What kind of animal?
Lobsters,
Live lobsters.
live lobsters.
They had the little dance on them.
Yes.
Where do they end up afterwards?
I couldn't tell you.
Oh.
Once they leave the library, you know,
I thought maybe a pot someplace, but
there's
anyway.
a level of anonymity that I have to respect for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it looks like our numbers are doing really well. Like downloadable audio went up 12,000.
Yeah.
Like that's great.
Now
Ebooks went up.
just note that is all of CW Mars, not just us.
Okay.
So we have access to all of that, and then that's how the MVLC would like to see it. So that's how I put it.
Great. Thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome. And I'm always available if you end up seeing something that seems out of whack or doesn't make sense to you, please just come in and see me. I'll be more than happy to go through it and figure out what the answer is.
All right. So Chris is also going to talk to us a little bit about the state certification process and the 8 bullet points that goes into being certified.
Yes, and
So-
of course, I thought I was gonna have access to my computer, but I don't. So, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so,
Yeah, I did not print the 46 pages of the errors report.
and I don't blame you.
There's a lot of blanks.
Yeah.
There was. All right, so, as it reads, the MVLC administers the annual report information survey, which is the ARIS, and the financial report in compliance with the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 78. Each fiscal year, public libraries are required to submit this data in order to receive state aid to public libraries and to meet the minimum standards of public library service. So the first one is the most complicated one. That is, someone just took over that. I just highlighted a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, it was probably Krista.
Oh, okay.
So-
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. No, keep doing it. Now that I know what's happening, it's okay. So, number one, Mass General Law states that a municipality must appropriate a figure of at least the average of the last 3 years of municipal appropriations to the library for operations, increased by 2.5% in order to be certified by the state aid to public libraries. And the chart below, if anyone saw it,
Yeah, I read it.
basically you take your total municipal appropriation, your TAMI, which I'm losing my mind, the last 3 years of what the budget was approved for the town, you add those three numbers together, and then you divide that by 0.1025 to get what your correct number should be for the following year. And then that's how I request my budget. It's, okay, that's the number, I add like $10 just in case, and we get approved. So, the second part of that is that out of that budget, the materials expenditure requirement for full compliance is 20%. It's actually 19.5, but we go to 20%. So for this year, it would be $17,751. We actually are up closer to 1,900, if I recall, for the amount that we can expend on stuff. So we're well above both of those numbers. that will never be an issue as far as I know. Any questions so far?
This
Okay.
is the money that the town gives to the library so that we stay certified.
Yes. The second one is all residents of the Commonwealth can access reading and reference rooms under the same conditions as residents of the community, and that's true, as long as we're open, anyone can come in. Number 3, this requirement means that no changes can be levied on residents of the local community for the withdrawal of library books in the regular circulating collections of the community's public library or branches. So, you can come in, you can borrow a book, and you can walk out. You don't have to pay extra, you don't have to pay a membership fee to borrow a book at the Hubbardston Public Library. There are some subscription libraries like that. MGL prefers, MBLC prefers that you not do that. That does not restrict us from charging a fee for somebody to reserve books or to borrow something that is beyond the ken, like the library of things. We might wanna put a deposit down for something that's really expensive, which we don't have anything like that, so it's not something we do. For number 4, the minimum hours operations requirement. In order to be eligible to apply for state aid, a library must be open the minimum required hours, days, and evenings for its population group. Our current population group, if I recall correctly, is 2,000 to 4,999. So for that, we need a minimum of hours is 15 a week. Number of days open are not specified, but we're open 5 days a week. Some evening hours, we are actually open 6 evening hours a week because of Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and we are also open on Saturdays. So we also fit that one and we reached that goal quite well. For number 5, Mass General Law states that a library must employ trained library personnel in accordance with regulations promulgated, I'm not sure I'm saying that right, by the Board of Library Commissioners. So for our municipality, populations under 10,000, the minimum requirement for a library director to have an education level is a bachelor's degree from a 4-year accredited university, which yes, I have. Thank you. If you have a bigger municipality, then it gets, they'll want an MLS or a bachelor's of MLS, or then a master's of library, a bachelor's of library science, then a master's, and then a PhD. So the bigger the town, the more they want an education level. Number 6, the materials expenditure requirement is defined in statute and regulation MGL, Chapter 78, Section 19B, and 605 CMR 1.01 parentheses 5. It's percentage of the municipal appropriation to the library based on the population of the municipality, which we addressed at the $17,761. There we go. So the percentage that we have is 19.5, but we go with 20%, so we're again well above that amount. Sorry, there we go, number 7. Certified libraries must, quote, lend books and other materials to other libraries in the Commonwealth and extend privileges to holders of cards issued by other public libraries in the Commonwealth on a reciprocal basis. We do offer that because we do interlibrary loans. We also do the Commonwealth catalog requests, so the eastern part of the state can reach our collection and same back, because as long as you're municipally funded, they expect that you're gonna borrow or lend to another municipally funded library in the state.
Are we a net lender or a net borrower?
We're a net borrower. Last, the state aid application form and the annual report information survey must be completed each year to be eligible. I've already submitted the ARIS report, and the state aid application form, which is the financial report, that will open on August 7th, and I have, I believe, until early October to finish that, but I try to get it done as soon as possible so that we end up in the first round of approvals for that. So those are the 8 requirements that we need to fulfill each year in order to receive state aid. And if I recall correctly, I think we got just over $9,000 FY '23, and that can very well go up for FY '24. And that's it.
Going back to kind of your report and things that you've done, and posts, I very much appreciate the post on things that we've shared.
The at a
So-
glance, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
so continue with items like that, I think shared to the community.
Okay.
I think again, it may have been Woods or Forbush, someone had shared that the town had saved X amount of dollars on materials. I didn't know if that's something that we're able to generate, and I'm not sure how they generated that.
Oh, and that's Oakham, right? Or is that Northampton?
One would be Westminster or Barry, I think, I had seen off their social media.
Alright,
So
so it's
I'll have to
probably
go back and
Westminster,
show you.
cause Barry is Woods, is the Woods Memorial
Yeah.
Library, so I'll check with Westminster and ask them how they did that, they may have a different purchaser
Yeah,
on what they do, so.
so I was curious on that. Like, it was one of those, had patrons purchase the books rather than lend
Oh.
them.
Actually, our receipts, if they print up the receipts, they'll say you saved, this amount of money by borrowing your books at the library.
So I didn't know if that's something that we could generate at some point as like a interesting.
I'll check, I'll call them up and ask them how they did that, and first I'll find their post and then I'll ask them if they did that, so.
And if I find it, I'll share it with you.
Cool.
Any questions about state certification? A lot of hoops to go through,
Yes.
but it seems like, we are able to pretty easily meet those criteria.
It's a lot easier than the explanation, municipally fund, free, don't charge for borrowing and open up the minimum number of hours. The most complicated one is the, making sure that you reach the amount for each year for municipal funding.
Are there thresholds of how well you do? You're a medium-sized library, but if we did a few things, we'd qualify for the next level up.
No.
There's no strata.
Are there other levels of certification?
Those are the 8 levels that I adhere to.
No, but like other than being.
If we were bigger, then things
Oh.
could change. If the population of the town was larger, then there would be different requirements.
Is it
But
population driven and not use driven?
one of them is population driven. Not to my knowledge, I don't believe that anything is use driven, as far as, they just wanna make sure that you're doing what they're asking you to do. They don't say, you get extra if you,
No extra credit?
no extra credit, 5 bonus points.
Thanks for explaining all that, I think
Yes.
it is helpful.
It's very helpful.
You're welcome.
Good job.
Thank you.
Next item is our town awarded funds for repairs. Like in Groundhog's Day. So I know that Krista and Tom have been in contact with Bella Masonry and that some foundation reports were sent. Can you provide an update on any conversations you've had with them or what that might look like?
They called me out of the blue, and luckily I texted Tom and said, can you talk to them?
Well, I've lost track of them the last couple of days. They may have come by and looked.
If they did, I wasn't there.
Okay. I'll have to contact them, I'm sure they did. And if they haven't, I'll re-energize that. They called and said, well, they didn't call. They sent a letter from their office manager, and my computer recognized it as junk and put it in my junk folder. So I missed them. I had never received anything from that person before. And I'll follow up on that. But one, they're showing interest, which is a thing we've been starving for, or starved about. And I will certainly pursue it. The other thing is, they seem very, very competent. It's a third generation Italians Mason. You can't get better.
Mhm.
And so I will encourage them. And I don't have any concrete report that they actually came and saw it. They called and said, oh, we're gonna be driving by this morning, can you meet us or something? And what I'd like to do is get out of the way. Anytime they drive by, they can just stop. It's right there, you know. I sent them photographs, I sent them reports, and they still, even after seeing them, they still remained interested. So it's good.
And one of your emails has said they're a little bit busy, so we may not get them until October or next spring.
Yes, they're a lot busy, but what I'm trying to do is get on the list.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So you sent them these foundation reports?
I sent them the structural engineers report,
Okay.
and I sent them a bunch of July photographs.
Thank you.
Now, the traffic situation out here doesn't lend itself to just driving by and stopping your car and getting
Yeah.
out and looking at something.
Yeah.
So, maybe that was part of the problem.
Okay, well, thank you both for kind of connecting with them and getting,
I'll crowbar it along.
getting the ball rolling on it. So,
Are they the official people to do repairs?
No, it would, depending on the dollar volume, it would require some kind of, standard business practice or even competitive bidding to get the work actually
I'm
done.
not sure what our involvement is in this whole project, though, not exactly. I mean,
Well, we have no one to give it to. It's
Huh?
us. There's no one else, it's us.
in the town itself, there's no facilities manager that would run these things, like,
Well, we have a town administrator who's very helpful.
yeah?
Hi. I actually called out to all of the library directors about facilities management, and I think I had 15 libraries respond, and 7 of them did not have facilities managers. I'm sorry, 9 of them didn't have facilities managers. 2 of them had facilities managers, but only within the last year. And the populations varied from 800 up to 15,000. And the 15,000 population did not have a facilities manager. And the one other one that was there said, well, we can ask the DPW, but they can say no. So that's basically
we
what's
have.
happening.
Yep.
Yes. So that's basically what's going on, is a lot of libraries are in towns where they do not have facilities managers because they don't have a budget for it. So the trustees do the work, you know, do all the footwork to get somebody in to fix.
And what I anticipate is if it becomes a large dollar volume, big project, I would certainly bring it to Nate as Ryan McLean volunteered. We never got to that point, but he said, look, if you have a situation where you have to put out specs and put things on websites for bidders to see them, they'll do that. They'll help us.
similar to what they did with the roof,
Yes.
right? Yep.
Yes.
But a lot of these projects that we have right now are kind of like lower cost items. It feels like that might not fall to the scale of having to do big calls.
Yeah, below $10,000, the state law requires good business practice. Above that, they require 3 bids.
So there's no bidding required, this kind of thing?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
But we'll see. And I should qualify that. They require 3 bids. You don't always get 3 bids. They don't really require it. They require a bidding process.
So that's where we're at with brick repair. First floor rehab, that's just kind of on the list, but we're not doing anything with that right now. It's just kind of, just to remind us that it's there, so. The next one is the building and facilities consultant. I talked to Wendy Frontiero, shortly after our last meeting, She is a preservation consultant. And she is interested in potentially working with us. She sent a sample of her work. I sent out an email a couple weeks ago, and it's also in the meeting minute or the agenda. Kind of like what she does. It sounds like she kind of reviews the building, and then she looks at different aspects of it. So, interior, exterior, a variety of things. And then she makes recommendations of things that should maybe be done.
Right.
And then at the end of her report, she gives like prioritizations. So year 1 recommendations, year 2 recommendations, year 3 recommendations, which felt like that was kind of in line with what we were looking for.
Right.
So I wanted to get your feedback and thoughts on that as to whether or not you would like me to ask her to submit a formal proposal for us to consider hiring her.
I feel as though it would be very advantageous for the trustees in general to give us that framework of how, guidance on what to prioritize, and then we can break it down into projects and seek out bids. So I would be very interested.
Do we need a motion to go ahead with that?
Well, I just wasn't sure if there was more discussion about it.
No, I know,
yeah,
but I'm
but we
just,
would need a motion, yeah, so.
I was pretty impressed with the report, cause it seemed like it was a similar type project. I mean, it's not a library, but it's, you know, got different issues or that
Exactly.
similar to, you know, not identical, but similar to what we have, and the way she spelled it out seemed like it would make it, you know, like we could accomplish the different steps.
And it would also, I feel, assist us in giving us a very valuable, clear tool to be able to take to other, perhaps departments and even to contractors to say, these are the projects that we're looking to do, what can you assist us with, versus.
Plus, she may know people, you know.
Yeah, when I talked to her, I asked her a couple of, I was like, you know, we're hoping that maybe you could make suggestions for like people who might be able to help with the different projects we've outlined. She kind of hedged that one a little bit, but I think if we said this is what we would want to see in the report, is like at least just a list of like people she could, a general list of people, like here, these are people we might contact. I also asked her about funding opportunities, and she just started rattling some off on the phone to me. I was trying to take notes. But I could ask her.
Would that be something that we could ask to?
But I could ask her to
included?
put that in as a final thing, cause she named off like 5, like while I was talking to her. So I could just ask her at the end of the report, can you please list those 5 or 6
Yeah.
again, so that we
That'd be nice.
have them. She seemed like impressed with the fact that we've been able to get some funding from like CPC and from the town, and I told her about the roof project and all that, and like she seemed like, she was like, oh, well, it seems like you guys kinda have your act together. Kind of. But,
Good job.
So, I felt good when I talked to her, like, I felt like she was interested, I felt like she seemed competent. Sounded like her first availability would probably be October, cause she's finishing up a couple of projects.
Okay.
And she's also like in Rockport or Gloucester area, so she's not super excited about driving down like in the winter, you know, so, so that might be, so hopefully we can maybe get her in like late fall to try and get something going.
We could go there.
Yeah.
We could.
Field trip.
I love Rockport, so, yeah, so does everyone feel comfortable with me contacting her to get a formal proposal?
Go full speed ahead.
So motion to.
I'll make a motion
I guess.
to reach out and
Second
request.
Would you say hire or
To submit a proposal.
To submit, yeah.
For hire, then. To-
Question, what's her fee?
So that would be in the proposal. She asked how much money we had. I told her we had about $6,000 that we got from the town, and she said that we were in the ballpark, so. So.
An
I'm
old
sorry,
trick.
who's second?
an old trick.
Tom, did you second?
Oh, I will, yes,
Okay.
second.
So,
But so it's a motion to submit a request to hire her? or-
Proposal.
A proposal?
proposal,
A request for a proposal
yeah.
to Wendy. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so, I feel like, I mean, I think based on conversations we've had, people thought this kind of work was gonna be more than $6,000, so we'll see what she comes back with,
Mhm.
you know, so.
Well, they'll,
$5,999.
they'll propose something that fills the available money,
Yeah.
which is fine.
I mean, I think the report that we got, she would provide would be pretty beneficial, because it's gonna go beyond the scope of what we've identified already, you know, and help us identify other areas of preservation that we need to be thinking about.
I think the other thing that would be super useful, in addition to the things we don't know, is that prioritization. I'm looking for somebody to assist and focus on this project first, and then
And the next project.
the next project.
Alright.
You know, I noticed that report had a lot of like history and background about the building. I don't know if we would provide some of that to her, or.
We may, or, yeah,
Yeah.
I'd have to see what that looks like, or I mean, we are in the historic
Yeah.
landmark, so it might be some things that she goes and looks at herself.
At that
you know.
document, yeah, that's true. So did we approve this motion?
Motion to approve?
I made the motion, Tom seconded.
So all in favor, all in favor. Sorry, I lost my words. All opposed? Abstaining. That was a motion not to approve. So,
Thank you for finding her and
Yes.
reaching
Yeah.
out.
well, we're getting there, so we're slowly making progress. Krista, policy subcommittee. Asked about this.
I was talking to Chris about, you know, the future, like what other policies we want, and also we talked about at a previous meeting that we would form a subcommittee to kind of work on that. I know Morgan expressed interest, but I don't know if anybody else, I didn't know if we needed like a formal, like, okay, we're forming this subcommittee, or, and the idea would be we would do the wordsmithing and, you know, send or develop a draft, and then it would obviously come to the whole board, so it's just to save a little bit of time at the meetings mostly.
Mm-hmm.
You want your subcommittee to be less than a quorum.
Yeah, we were well, Chris would be on it. and
She's
then-
not a voting member.
Right, but so we could have,
So it'd be
what, two?
up to three.
Up to three,
Yeah, three's not quorum.
So I am interested. Krista, I would assume you're still interested.
yeah. Anybody else?
Is anybody else?
Okay, so do we need a motion, or?
I think we probably should make a motion to
Okay.
form a subcommittee, for policies.
To appear impartial, can somebody else make the motion?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to create a policies subcommittee consisting of Morgan and Krista, and Chris as ex officio.
A policy subcommittee,
Mm-hmm.
what would they do?
So we will draft the policies which we've reviewed and we've used meeting time to draft in the past. So to be more time efficient, what we would do as a subcommittee is draft those policies, bring them to the trustees for like the final review and vote on them rather than utilizing meeting time to work out the policies.
Well, we actually were sort of doing that. Chris
Yeah.
and I were working on them and bringing them to the board, so this
Yeah.
is just a slightly
Another
more formal
formality.
way to include more people.
Sounds good.
Did you say Chris as ex officio? Is that what you said?
As a
Okay.
non-voting member,
Yeah.
Okay. Does somebody second the motion?
I will.
All in favor? All opposed? Abstaining? Okay, 6-0.
Thank you.
Moving along. Road race updates. We currently have, I think, 46 people registered for the race, which is pretty good for this time. Usually, we are a big day of race registrations. We get probably like 30 or 40 people who register day of. So being at 46 right now, I think we're pretty good. We currently have about $4,000 in revenue from sponsors, donations, and registrations. We still need to deduct the t-shirts and the plaques, but typically we're probably gonna come out with like $2,000 to $3,000 of revenue from that. we are potentially getting 2 new sponsors, and they're working on figuring out the logo, so, getting 2 new sponsors would be nice, cause I think you were our latest sponsor, Morgan, which was a couple years ago, so we haven't had any new sponsors like in a couple of years. And we lost a couple from like COVID and stuff like that, and some people have just kind of fallen off just based on, you know, interest have gone elsewhere, right? And as far as prizes go, we are in the process of gathering prizes. So I think he's calculated we have like $841 worth of prizes, of like movie passes, museum certificates, the cord of wood, you know, that always gets donated, the mirrors, you know, jewelry and so forth. So, which is always nice to kind of raffle that off. So things are clicking along. It's a well-oiled machine over there at the Wiggler and Shaughnessy household, so, I just come along for the ride, so, when we meet, so, but the race is September 9th, so, Saturday, September 9th. So if you are available and can come out to support the racers, that would be great.
I can be there.
As well, you know, sometimes, you know, it's helpful to have our trustees there to kind of help with like the food and help with registration. But I always preface, like, you know, there's a flurry of activity up until the race starts, and then there's a significant period of downtime. And then they do the race results, you know, so no, and then clean up. So usually, typically we're out of there by 11:30 or 12. If you get there around 8:30 or so. So if you're available, please, consider coming out, so. Look like you were gonna have a question, Bob. Oh, okay.
That's my birthday.
It's my sister's
It could be.
birthday,
Why is
too.
that date familiar to me?
Yeah, it's my sister's birthday as well, so. Yeah, so things are going well on that end, so.
Yay.
Yeah. So, when we looked at our calendar for the trustees, financial and other activities, in the month of August, we have listed, begin planning for CIPC grants. So those are the ones that are due typically in October. It is for capital improvements. So we might wanna think about what we might want to put in for a proposal. Last year, we got the $6,000 to kind of hire this building consultant. In past, and if you look at the capital improvement plan now, let me just see if I can, sorry, find a couple of things. Things that we have on the list, but we don't have like approval for, include, sorry, I have like 10 tabs open, let me just see if I can find it real quick. In the past, we have identified the following as things we wanted to include in the capital improvement plan. This can certainly change, so, but we had a request for flooring replacement for the meeting room and the basement level of the library. The floor's a little bit bowed. We did not have funding for that, but it was something we identified as something that we would need money for. We have an additional $20,000 for library foundation brick repair. We currently have about 13,000 or so already allocated to us. So, I'm not, we came up with this a while ago, so I'm not sure why we need another 20,000, but it's on the list. We have library window replacements for $32,000. We have a boiler replacement for $60,000. And then an architect assessment for library for $42,000. So those are things that we, like 4 or 5 years ago, when we sat down as a committee, identified as things we wanted to have considered for the capital improvement plan. So we can submit multiple proposals in a given year, may or may not be funded. So it might be helpful for us to talk about what do we think we want to put in for this year. Now, we won't have the building preservation consultant's plan by the time it's due, but I think if we think we might wanna try and just get some money going, that can be helpful, like, I'm curious about the boiler, like, how soon does this boiler need to be replaced?
It keeps getting, in the capital plan, it keeps getting pushed ahead. You know, so I think it was supposed to be originally like 2020, now it's got pushed to like 2026, if I recall correctly. And I am uncertain, it still runs. Now that I had Royal Steam dealing with it, they fixed the traps on the heating system, so it works a lot better now. But I'm pretty sure, and I'll check with the gentleman that comes in to clean it, the cast iron cylinder that's in there is starting to rust enough that, you know, that could go, but he said honestly that it's, what did he say? He said that it can still go, not pretty, but it'll keep the building warm, is basically what he said. It's like, it can still go, but it is getting up in years.
We're also gonna explore splits.
Yep.
Sorry. And I also think that while October is an initial deadline, if we had a report from the consultant come in November, we could certainly go in and modify our plan.
We could, or we could put it into a CPC grant in January,
Yes.
so, cause we have the two places where we can grab funds from, or request funds from.
The CPC, I think, also has an October
Okay.
write-ups required.
Okay, yeah, I know they have one in January.
Yeah, they make their
Um,
decisions in the first quarter of the new year. I think there's entertained proposals in October. But in either case, if a good, sound report comes in, we'd certainly have grounds to go in and adjust things.
Is there anything we want to prioritize to request this year? Let me add one more,
Yeah.
just knowing that when we requested this year, like in October, we would not get the funds until the following July, right? So you're requesting almost, I guess, just a year out.
So
9
we
months out.
apply, the proposal's due in October, but funding doesn't come until July.
Cause that's get approved at the annual town meeting.
So with a little bit further information, I feel challenged because I feel like we should be able to present a better bid and idea for the boiler. I'd be interested in the boiler, and the other project that I personally, without knowing and without having like that report or prioritization, would be a backup system or a different system altogether, like the mini splits.
Like what?
The mini splits.
Oh.
So I would think heating the building would be a higher priority now that the roof is taken care of, although windows. So that's where I'm like, I would love to have a report that tells me what I should be prioritizing.
I think the boiler won't have a lot of impact on, like, building preservation,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think that's something that, like, I think foundation and boiler, like, when I was kinda talking to her, like, she's like, well, I don't do anything with boilers, cause she's about preservation.
Okay.
But I think those are things that, like, that's like a core thing.
Definitely the windows.
But windows, I think she might have something to think about, you know.
Well,
although-
she may also be able to help us with splits, in the sense that putting them in, is antagonistic to preservation, or
Has to go in the
it's
wall,
part of
right?
preservation.
Exactly.
Yep.
The other thing that is hanging around our necks is, access.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Access,
Access.
a ramp or an elevator,
Sure.
or whatever we come up with. That has to be somewhere out in our plans.
I think it does, yeah. I don't know that it needs to be this upcoming year, cause I don't think we have,
I don't think we have a handle on it.
yes, so.
Can we
But-
make sure that that's something that she could include in her report?
We did actually use the manual lift this week.
Did you?
Yes.
For a human?
For-
Or books?
No, for
For
a person.
Person
Yep.
again?
Yep,
How'd it work?
it worked. Was, you know, it's just crank it up. And Ann and I took turns, you know, cranking it up and then taking it
I
back down
didn't realize
again
it was it's manual.
It is manual. Having it come down again was easier. I did note, however, that the gate, the wheel on the gate, there is definitely some shifting of the stairs and the front area because the gate will not open all the way. It stops. It gets, you can see a little scratch.
It swings away from the lift?
No. If I'm trying to open it so somebody can get out, we need to shift the wheel somehow so that it is not scraping on the granite as you bring it open so someone can get out. It does not open a full 90 degrees up against the wall. It opens up
Is it
more like-
dangerous?
No,
Hmm.
70 degrees.
But she was using a walker. I think if someone was in a wheelchair, they might not have
That
been
might
able
be,
to get through.
that would be a problem, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she could probably maneuver her.
So if you guys want, I could reach out to Hub Equipment and ask them if they can help me with the wheel, make it smaller maybe.
Did the passenger feel comfortable and confident, or was it hanging on for dear life?
No, she was fine. Well, she went up with, the patron went up with their child, their adult child, who held on to them, and they got up, they hung out in the library, and then they came back down.
Good.
So am I hearing that we want to explore some sort of HVAC system as a proposal potentially for October?
It seems like the state has a lot of incentives. I don't know if the library, I know they talked about doing it for the whole town, but the senior center
Yes.
put it in for just them, I guess, so, you know, it seems like a good time to consider that. Plus, we had to spend extra money on utilities, right, this year,
We
so.
did.
And it seems unwise to pour a big investment into burning fossil fuels the way we do it. You know, just open combustion.
And new windows would just help later, I mean, could help later. I don't think we have to wait on that because we still need heat.
Yeah.
A little background on the windows. I called a window company in Worcester. They gave me a quote, and then they are not interested in doing the work. I thought that was pretty odd. If anybody knows any window people, much of the glass, the glazing, we actually own. It's down in the cellar. And,
You look
We
at
could-
glazing?
well, I call glazing the glass.
Oh, but it fits the windows?
We have
Well, I
replacement
don't know
window
that.
panes.
I don't know that. We have a whole bunch of glass in the boiler room, in the oil tank room, and they're awful big, and they look like they could fit. But I don't have a way to get up there and measure things,
Where do they come from, do you know?
the windows. I have no idea.
So, let me just make sure I understand this. You're looking for somebody that would be able to install the storm windows that are available down in the,
At least qualify them. Maybe they're not the
Oh.
right measurements or something, but I think what it involves is a thing that window companies own, a lift, to get up there in the inside and maybe the outside,
okay,
and check dimensions and say, yeah, we can do this, or these things are scrap.
So we have two things about windows. For the first floor we have money to put in the storm windows for the library. And then in the CIPC update, we have replaced library windows. So I don't know if those are two different things?
Yes,
Two
I
different
think,
things.
I think the brick repair, if you look at the building, they have these, small windows at grade, right at the lawn, you know? And they're all kind of rotting out, and they've got duct tape on them. They really need to be replaced. The storm window installation is up in the main floor, and,
Okay.
and up in the high part of the
Yep.
main floor.
Yes, exactly.
Which makes it a little more challenging,
Yeah, so those are interior storm windows.
yeah. The exterior has storm windows on it.
And then, so this CIPC potential request for library windows is for the ground level windows?
Yes, there are 4 or 5 windows that need to be replaced
Okay.
or rehabbed, and that might involve historical accuracy. We did a window at the top of the stairs, and that required the special historical treatment. Sorry, I'm losing my voice.
So if we wanna move ahead thinking about boiler splits, HVAC, it's probably, when we submit the proposal in October, it's probably helpful to have some quotes
Mhm.
and, just some good information to submit with the proposal. So I don't know if we need to bring in like, what's the group, McMass Energy, is that the name of the group that
Mass
comes in
Energy.
to do an audit? And then does that qualify us for some of the discounts as well?
That would be
Yeah.
kind of a question,
think so.
back to Nate as well as with regards to municipal buildings. And I had thought, but this is going back a while, to our meeting with Nate, is that they were going to come through and do that type of process.
They
They
did,
did.
but they didn't get the funding, or they didn't either get the grant submitted or they didn't get the funding for it.
Okay.
So the grant never
Proceeded.
proceeded.
Well, one did. Ryan put something in, and the guys came over to the building and squirted the insulation in the right spots. And
I
In
don't
the
think I
library.
don't think we got the funding for it though.
I don't know.
I think what it is that Ryan had gotten funding, but for whatever reason, they weren't able to complete everything on that grant
Okay.
period, so that the subsequent grant application was not approved.
Okay.
But there, and take this with a huge grain of salt, it is my understanding that they have since reapplied in the hopes that they're gonna get more grant funding for it, and they will probably get approved.
Okay.
I don't remember what the parts were that weren't completed with the grant application that Ryan put in. It's just, I'm just drawing a blank.
Yeah, no,
But, I think, I'm fairly certain that was the time frame. That was how it worked, or
Okay.
the timeline, I should say.
Okay, okay. 'Cause I know when Tom and I talked to Nate a couple months ago, he said something about the grant didn't get submitted, or they had to wait till the next round. They weren't sure when the next round was gonna be,
Right.
but maybe
Okay.
that was something also
No, that may
slightly
be,
different.
that may be the more accurate one. I just remember that the last grant they had, they weren't able to complete something for whatever reason. But I've got so much, pipe insulation in, where the boiler is, I don't know what to do with it. So,
the biggest bang, or the best return on investment with these guys that come in and go even through residential houses, is just seal up the cracks, stop the infiltration. And they did that, but that's not a window replacement. Doesn't replace rotting wood or.
Yeah. So is there anybody who's interested in kind of leading the effort to get, some quotes for like for a split system for HVAC? It would be helpful if we could have air conditioning in the library as well, just because
Moisture
the
control.
moisture, and so it can damage books, and
Mhm.
create mold, so it'd be nice if there was, some ventilation in the summer and, able to kind of keep humidity at a certain temperature.
Level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or less level.
So maybe we should, let Nate know we're thinking about trying to pursue this and see where the town is on, if they're also trying to do it. I'm having that work done on my house. I could contact this company that I'm working with and ask them about it, but I don't know, can we just pick any company and get an estimate, or do we have to do something?
You have to write a scope of work.
Okay.
What do you want them to do?
Yeah,
And then send it out and see if you can get some response.
so how do we write the scope of work?
I'd be glad to start with Nate. I'd throw my hat in the ring for this. Starting with Nate, learning about what he's doing, what is the right process to do it,
Okay,
and who are the prospective suppliers or contractors, or whatever you wanna call them.
okay,
and get that far and come on back by, when's our next meeting?
September 7th.
I'll try to do that by September 7th. Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds great.
I mean, I don't mind doing some of the legwork, but I don't have the expertise that, you know, like if it's just emailing people or contacting them, I can help you with that.
Well, if anybody knows any of these contractors that are putting in splits,
Well, I can find out if this company does commercial work, the one that I'm working
yeah,
with,
I mean, that's,
cause it's different, I know.
it's a burgeoning
Yeah.
field.
What's meant by a split?
A split is a heat pump. You put it outside, it takes the energy out of the atmosphere.
I know what heat pump
And brings
is,
the
yeah.
heat pump in, or you can reverse it in the summer
Right.
and,
Okay.
take the energy out of the room
Get you.
and put it to the outside, which is, of course, air conditioning.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a bit of a plan forward for that.
So,
So Tom's gonna start.
Anybody
reach
want-
out.
Scope of work.
Yeah, what is Nate doing? What is his process to do it, and what he recommends our process to be? And then I think it will include a scope of work, and I usually do that by bringing in contractors and saying, you know, what's this place need? Writing it all down.
Sure.
That's how we did the emergency signs and whatnot.
Yeah.
so should I contact this company and just ask them if they do commercial work?
Sure.
I mean, they haven't done the work yet, but,
Yeah.
okay,
Have you hired them?
yeah. I mean, we just signed the paper, we haven't started the work yet. And I don't know if you were happy with whoever did yours.
I am. I don't know who it was.
Oh, okay.
They're very quiet.
The people, or the workers, or the machine?
No machines.
I feel like this is a priority, you know, of all those things, because the rest of it, we kinda wanna hear from the expert, you know, how it all fits together. I mean, to me, accessibility is really important, but it's not a one proposal thing to solve, so.
But that's a really big one.
Yeah.
And I would love a magic wand to address it, because I think that's something that we should really address.
But we're getting new sidewalks, right? That's
Yeah.
good. Eventually.
So going back to your question with regards to hub equipment, I think that addressing the wheel, if it can be addressed, we
Okay.
should.
Wait, say that again?
So with regards to the lift in the door.
Oh, the lift.
And the wheel, so that we can get like a 90-degree opening, should there be somebody that comes in a wheelchair, and should they not be able to access? I don't wanna
Right.
And,
face that.
does the machine have a nameplate on it or something? Some of these companies have electrically driven ones,
Mm-hmm,
and if there's a hand crank, you might be able to take the hand crank off and put a motor on it,
okay.
plug it in, and
I'm fairly certain that they kept the instruction manual, so I will track it down.
Alright, the last item on the agenda is just to review the calendar for the trustees' financial and other activities. And that's where, like, August, we did planning for IPC in September. The only thing on the calendar right now is the road race, as, you know, something to begin planning for, or just to be aware of. So, when we meet next month, we'll just kinda continue on with like the initiatives we started this month.
Are we participating in field day?
When is field day?
It's the week after the race.
It would be,
September 16th.
Yep.
would be nice if we participated in field day. How do we?
I was toying with the idea of setting up a tent and selling all the remaining T-shirts that we have at a discount to get them out. And as I was cleaning my office, I found the slates that
Aw.
you had the
Oh,
library, yes, so pop those out and see if anybody wants them. And I also found some wall hangings, probably from the 25th, 125th one, and it was a linen hanging of the map of Hubbardston. It was very general, it wasn't very specific, but there's one or two there, we could see if anybody wants those too.
Did you happen to find the sign, that plastic canvassy sign?
For the road
For the
race?
road race?
Yep, it's up in my closet.
I was gonna take that out, lay it out, and see if we can't move the letters around
Cool.
and rehab it a little bit.
I'll bring that down.
I'll drop in.
You know, fixing Chris's office is one of the things that we have money for, right? Is that part of the first floor?
First floor rehab, yes.
Yeah, so, you know, if you
Already
never got
started.
very far with that.
Well, I am cleaning it up so that as more stuff gets out of it, it's more someone will be capable of actually putting up new shelving, which needs to be deeper for the crafts, because the crafts are taking over my office, which is not a bad thing. But yeah, if I could, yeah, I can look and figure out what I wanna do.
That little project could proceed independent of everything else.
Yeah.
So Chris, will you get us set up for field day and then?
I'll talk to Joyce, see if I can get a spot.
Spot,
It
okay.
should be easy, and then we'll just sell t-shirts. I'll see if I can find a cornhole game maybe.
Cornhole, right.
Have the, we have our summer reading program prizes. We can certainly utilize whatever's left over
Okay,
if anybody's interested.
yeah. And you said that it's the 16th, right?
Yes.
Okay, I can help out with that.
Cool.
Is it? Okay.
I was supposed to write something down.
Any other items from the floor?
Writing up the CIPC would be CIPC grant in September. Should we add that to the agenda?
Well, the
just
call
have-
comes out in October and it's due like in mid-October, so that might be like
So it could be an
a draft.
October one.
Yeah, a draft might be, like have a
Okay.
draft kind of ready for.
Especially since we meet the beginning of October.
Yep.
Okay.
I didn't understand what you said. Could you repeat it, please?
I was just asking if we should be considering drafting the grant in September, but with clarification about the process, I think the October meeting is more appropriate.
We still have time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we can take the information you bring to September and,
Well, we get it early, I can distribute it. We can't,
exactly.
what do they call it? Not contemplate it.
We can't reply all.
Yeah.
Can we go back to the
We can digest.
to building preservation? If I get a report or the proposal from the person, from Wendy, do you want me to bring it back to the October meeting for approval, or if it falls within a certain range, can I just
I'd make a
flag it?
motion if it falls within the range of the 6,000 that we proceed in hiring her.
I'd
Okay, well,
second
we
that.
can, do we need a separate motion? I was gonna say we could.
If it's
So
on-
revise
it's
the
on
previous
budget.
With
motion.
regards to that, revisiting the previous proposal and request for proposal, if it falls within that range that we have the funds for and we don't need to overreach that, I propose that we hire her so that we're able to move forward and it doesn't.
And just get her on the books. and
Okay,
ready
so
to go.
motion to
Well, let's-
authorize Connie to hire,
You'll have
Wendy.
to have the authority to review the proposal and qualify her.
Right, yes. I mean,
We're
I would
not-
review it. and-
We're not authorizing her, we're authorizing you
Correct.
to
To
do
go ahead and-
to
that.
hire Wendy
If-
if the cost is
Within-
within the budget.
Yeah.
And if the proposal kind of matches our needs.
Yes.
At your discretion.
Okay,
I just didn't know if we needed, if you wanted us to wait another month or not. Just kinda-
okay, so Morgan made the motion.
Tom seconded.
All in favor? Sorry. 6-0-0
I guess there's only one more thing.
to adjourn.
You wanna make the motion?
I mean, well, if it's okay with everybody, I guess I'll find out.
Any discussion on that?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Thank you.
Good job, folks.